Right, so in today's video, what I'm going to be showing you is exactly what I apply to this lawn to get it looking absolutely boss. And it's what I've been using all this year to keep this lawn looking dense, to keep it looking green, looking healthy, and I'll explain exactly how you can apply it to. And that's using this product here, which is Integral Max, not a sponsor, just a really boss lawn food. What I use this liquid to do is a few different things. Firstly, it's going to give your lawn a really nice green up without putting it under too much stress. So it does contain a little bit of iron, which is there to enhance the pigment of the lawn, giving you a much more defined stripe when you're cutting if you want to do that, but also just making the grass a little bit of a darker green colour. But also what it will help to do is to actually thicken up your lawn, to thicken the sward. So whether you've got ryegrass, it's going to help that to tiller, or whether you've got something like Benton fescue, where it's going to promote the production of stolons and rhizomes to give you a much tighter, denser sward. But before you apply anything to your lawn, the question you should always ask yourself is, why? Why get on with a liquid? Why get on with a granular? Well, the reason why I want to get on with a liquid today is it's not been fed for, I think, the best part of a month with Integral Max now. So it's definitely well overdue one, because there was a time where I was feeding this every couple of weeks with Integral. But as well, I put the lawn under a little bit of stress recently. You might be able to see on this side that the lawn's looking a little bit worse for wear in a few of these patches, and that's because I've got a little bit of an experiment in doing for a video at the moment. So what I want to do is put some Integral down today to get this lawn to thicken up, because we've got quite a few warm days coming up, and I think if I leave this lawn exposed on this side the way it is, it's going to get under a little bit of stress. It's going to bake the soil where it's exposed slightly on this side. So by applying this today, although it's going to green up the entire space, this is going to thicken up like you wouldn't believe. But before I apply the liquid, what I am going to do is just give this lawn a quick cut, because by applying it, it's going to encourage a lot of growth, and I'm not going to be cutting this now for a few days after application, so I don't want it to become like the Jungle Book. Oh, you might notice as well, I am using the grass collector. Because we're applying the liquid, it's absorbed straight into the grass leaf. What I don't want to do is leave any clippings knocking around on the lawn, which are going to kind of ambush that liquid that I'm putting down. I want to go straight into those grass plants that are at least still attached to the soil below. So to apply this, all you need is a knapsack spray. It doesn't have to be lecky like this one, it could just be a manual one, and get yourself one or two little measuring jugs as well. But don't worry if your numbers are slightly off, no one's going to die. Now, before you ever apply any form of liquid, you are going to want to calibrate your sprayer. But in short, you've just got to fill your sprayer with a little bit of water, spray it into a bucket and time it for a minute, then measure out exactly how much water that is, and you'll figure out how much water you're actually dispensing from your knapsack within that minute. And from there you can figure out exactly how much water you need for your product. Water is only a carrier for the product, so it doesn't really matter how much water you have, it just matters that you are getting the right amount of this product down. Now, if you want to work this out for your own lawn, you can use my measurements as a bit of a guide. So my lawn is roughly 25 square meters, and for that, to go with the low application rate, it'd be 50 millilitres of this per 25 square meters. Or it'd be 100 millilitres of this for the same space at the higher application. If you're feeding more frequently, every couple of weeks, you might want to go with the lower application rate. If you're feeding once a month, once every 6 weeks, then you might want to go with that higher application to put a little bit more down in one go, because by the time you next apply it, most of that product will have worn off, so you can re-top up again after those 4 to 6 weeks. So before we start, I'm going to put a little bit of water in the sprayer. So we go roughly 500 millilitres of water. All the water I'm using in today's video is from the water butt that I installed the other week, by the way. If you want to figure out how to install one yourself, there's a video somewhere on my channel showing that. Now we'll pour our 100 millilitres into our sprayer. Now the reason I put the water like that in last is so that it starts kind of the mixing process. What I'm going to do is just give it a bit of a mix for good luck. What you can do is mix this up prior to actually putting it in your sprayer, because otherwise you're going to be shaking a big monster thing. But as long as it's all integrated like that, jobs are good. So let's get to spraying. Now what I tend to do is I use these lines as a bit of a guide. So 2 lines here is roughly one pass, I-class anyway, with the sprayer. And what I try to do is keep the nozzle roughly 40 centimetres from the ground. If it's a little bit more, a little bit less, no one's going to die. But the reason why I keep it at that height is so that I'm not absolutely like monster blasting certain parts of the grass. It's giving us a nice even mist across the entirety of it. The wind takes a little bit of it today, no one's going to die, be absolutely fine, but it helps us get that nice even distribution. You can do a bit of a crisscross pattern, but I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to go across the same way twice. As I'm going as well, I'm counting how fast. I'm counting 5, 5, 5, 5. There's a few down at the end. Right, so there we go. It's been 3 days now since we got on with the Integral Max, and it's looking pretty decent. You know, we've got a really nice colour, particularly when the sun's out. And if we just get in close to the sward now, you can just see how lovely and dense it actually is. It just gives us that nice uniform colour, looking absolutely boss. We've not got any sort of weird markings where we have weird grasses knocking about. And even on this far side over here, bearing in mind this is where the lawn looked a little bit stressed the other day. Now don't get me wrong, it still does to an extent. We obviously have this patch over here which is looking a little bit rough. This bit here is not looking too bad. These two sections in particular were the parts where we actually did the experimenting, should we say, and for the most part now they're looking pretty good. But I think for 3 days that colour looks amazing, and it's only going to get better as well. You've just got to remember that when you do feed your lawn with a liquid feed, you've got to make sure that you do get it watered as well, because especially when we have hot spells like we do at the moment, it can put your grass through a little bit of stress and you don't end up with like burn spots. You'd rather be in a position where you're tackling the problem before you create one, rather than waiting for the sun to bake it to absolute death and then have to kind of recover the lawn from there. It's much harder to do that than it is just to prevent that from happening in the first place. And where I am in the northwest, we've had quite, well, not quite a lot of rain, but we've had quite a few spells of rain here and there, which has helped to keep the soil hydrated. But also because we have such a dense canopy, it's meant that all the moisture's been, or most of the moisture has been trapped within the soil. It's not been able to evaporate, whereas on this side it is going to be a little bit stressed over the next few days with the heat, because some of the soil now is exposed. So just be mindful what you're doing to your lawn at this time of year. Check the weather app, make sure that you're not going to stress your lawn out unnecessarily. So that's it for today's video. If you've enjoyed it or at least found it useful in any kind of way, then consider giving the video a like. If you haven't done so already, consider subscribing. We've got loads of lawn care stuff, loads of garden renovation stuff as well on this channel, so subscribe if you haven't. The link to the Instagram is in the description below. TikTok's Novice Gardener Official. And finally, thanks for watching.